Xbox is making their own Nintendo Switch-like system? The other day during the Xbox showcase, Xbox announced the ROG Xbox Ally and the ROG Xbox Ally X. These are new handhelds coming from Xbox that are really pushing the limitations of handheld hardware from everything that we've seen from behind the scenes and everything regarding this particular system. It really looks like the next step forward for handheld gaming, which is incredibly exciting as someone who is such a Nintendo Switch fan, seeing more handhelds come to the market. I also own a Steam Deck. I also own a PlayStation Portal. I like playing my games handheld, so this is incredibly exciting. Now, this is a partnership from ASUS and Xbox to make this new handheld. This is a device that can access your Xbox library directly through the system. You can download the games natively. You can play them on the cloud through the Xbox xCloud experience and stream them. And it features the Play Anywhere experience from Xbox, where if you buy the game on your Xbox, you can put it anywhere. It is a really cool concept in the idea that you can bring your Xbox games anywhere with you. And this is really kind of the strategy that Xbox has adopted this generation, where they want everything to be an Xbox, from your iPad to your iPhone to your PC to any of your systems that can run Xbox, Steam Deck included. Everything that can run xCloud or utilize the streaming capability, that's what Xbox is going for. But now they are going to have dedicated handheld hardware that it seems extremely powerful. They're toting 1080p screens with 120 hertz refresh rate and VRR, which sounds fantastic. And there are two different versions, like I mentioned before. There's the Xbox Ally that has 16 GB of RAM, 512 GB of storage, and a 60 WHR battery, versus the more premium option, which is the Ally X, which has 24 GB of RAM, 1 TB of storage, 80 WHR battery, and the Ryzen Z2 Extreme chip versus the Ryzen Z2 chip that is in the base Ally. And this all totes for an incredibly powerful little handheld device, which is very, very exciting. It looks like they've kind of taken the concept of the PlayStation Portal, where they stretched out the Xbox controller and slapped it onto a ROG Ally. And I'm very, very happy with that, because I find that as far as handhelds go, the most comfortable one to actually hold is the PlayStation Portal. I find this to be the most comfortable handheld device on the market, simply because they did just that. They stretched out the PS5 controller, so that way you just have a screen in the middle, and that looks to be exactly what the Xbox Ally is doing. Now, the cool thing about the Xbox Ally is, while yes, it boots up in an Xbox OS mode, you can also access Windows. Windows is on this, but you don't have to deal with all the headaches of Windows. So it boots up and it boots the games in exactly how you're going to play them, similarly to how consoles do. You boot it up and it just works. I'm sure there are methods for tinkering with the graphics and things of that nature, much like you can do on a Steam Deck, but it sounds like from all the behind the scenes that they've talked about, that this is going to be a much more catered experience. So that way there's less tinkering required to get the performance you're looking for out of the system. On top of this, because Windows is available, they have confirmed that you are able to run any Windows-based storefront through this system, whether that be Steam, Epic Game Store, Ubisoft, whatever the case may be. You can access those games on the Xbox Ally, which is incredibly positive. This means all of your games are everywhere, no matter what, and it's very simple and easy to use, allowing you to access PlayStation games even on the Xbox, because of the fact that PlayStation is putting games out on Steam and you can access Steam through the Xbox Ally. You can now play your PlayStation games on an Xbox system, which is incredibly exciting. Not to mention the fact that these games are going to be able to be played natively on the Xbox Ally, versus what you can do with the PlayStation Portal, where you have to stream the games to the device. You can install Spider-Man PS4 on your Xbox Ally and play it natively on the system, and that is absolutely crazy. Now, as far as when this is coming out, all they've confirmed is winter of 2025. We know this is coming this year. They also, like, low-key confirmed the release date of Silksong being this year, because they said it's going to be playable day one on the Xbox Ally, which is really cool. But we know it's coming later this year. As far as a price point is concerned, we know little to nothing, but I have a feeling that this system is going to be a little bit pricey. The reason I say this is going to be pricey is because the current ASUS ROG Ally that is available on the market, with a 120 hertz refresh rate, 1080p, it is running at the $650 price tag with a 512 gigabyte storage. So you can imagine that the Xbox Ally is going to be a similarly priced system, and the Xbox Ally X is going to be even more expensive than this. Unless Xbox goes out on a limb and takes a loss on this system, you can imagine that this PC handheld Xbox console hybrid is going to be a rather pricey system. Now, this doesn't really shock me. I'm familiar with the PC gaming handheld space, and it is just a pricey market to get into. So the price is going to be a very interesting topic of conversation when they announce the actual price of these things. I'll be keen to see if Xbox is willing to take a loss because of the release of the Nintendo Switch 2 and what the Nintendo Switch 2 can actually do on that hardware. It kind of needs to be more competitive, especially when there are other PC handhelds on the market looking at things like the Steam Deck that can also access the Xbox library through Game Pass. It kind of needs to be a little bit more competitive than what the current ASUS ROG Ally is on the market, so that way people are more inclined to pick this up and get into that ecosystem. For someone like me who already loves handhelds, I would be totally down to pick this up. However, because I already have a Steam Deck, if this price is too steep, I'm not interested in getting in on that, especially because Xbox has already confirmed that there are a lot of Xbox games coming to the Switch 2, and I can play them on my Steam Deck. I don't need an additional handheld to get into that market, despite the fact that I would really like that handheld to get into that market. So I think that's the biggest thing with the Xbox Ally, is it needs to have a competitive price to get more people in the door to actually pick this system up compared to other handheld devices that are cheaper, like the Switch 2 or the Steam Deck. Now, I can already hear people saying, oh, you made a clickbait title, you made a clickbait thumbnail, blah blah blah, because I said they are making a Nintendo Switch. But if you look into what the ASUS ROG Ally can actually do, the system can dock. Pulling us over to the ROG Gaming Charger dock page here on ASUS's website, there's an all-in-one charger for the current model of the ASUS ROG Ally that's available. The Gaming Charger dock combines full power charging, data transfer, and display output from a single device. When paired with the ROG Ally, you can connect a TV or external monitor via HDMI cable, connect your keyboard and mouse, USB, and charge your device over USB-C, allowing for seamless gaming on a big screen. So while it is mainly a handheld system, and that's what they're promoting this product as, there is likely going to be a way to dock this system and be able to play the Xbox Ally as a Xbox home console, similarly to how you can use a Nintendo Switch 2, which is a very exciting prospect for those looking to get into the Xbox ecosystem, because if this was just a standalone Xbox handheld, it would be a big ask for people to want to pick up this system, which typically PC handhelds like this have a battery life of anywhere from 2 to 8 hours, which isn't a lot of time. It's a big ask to get people in on a system that you're going to use primarily handheld with such limited amount of time, versus something like a Nintendo Switch that you can play handheld for a little bit of time and then dock later and play it that way. So being the fact that there is a way for the current ASUS ROG Ally to go ahead and dock, that means that the Xbox Ally is likely going to have docking capabilities as well, meaning you don't have to buy an Xbox to have a home console handheld hybrid. You can just buy the Xbox Ally and be fully in on the Xbox ecosystem, which is incredibly cool. So that is why I say the ROG Xbox Ally is going to be Xbox's version of the Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm very keen to see how this continues to develop the closer we get to the launch of this system. I want to know what the price point is, what the specs are, and the battery life, and how games are actually going to be performing on this, to see how competitive it's really going to be with things like the Steam Deck or the Nintendo Switch 2 that are cheaper alternatives to other PC handhelds like the ASUS ROG Ally that's currently on the market. So it's a very interesting prospect and something that I'm very excited about, but what's going to be the determining factor, I think ultimately, is going to be the price point of this particular system, and only time is going to tell. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comments below. Do you think this is truly Xbox's Nintendo Switch? Do you think this is a good move on Xbox's part? I think it's so cool as someone who loves handheld gaming, so I can't wait to see more from this. But that is it for this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe because it helps me out, helps the video out, and helps the channel out immensely. But until next time, peace.